Hello and welcome to Nomeregard's Journey, the introduction. So we're going to start a new series today, and we're going to be in Google Word or Google Docs or whatever it's called. So we're going to talk through this. I usually do an intro video before all my series just to kind of explain the whole process. And let's start with this. So we're restarting the Nomeregard's Journey playthrough, right? We're going to be using Nomeregard as the character through a persona. I call it the Trials of Nomeregard, but you know, we'll see what it goes. It's the solo, all the things. Now, this is a live series. This will be on Verant. So our goal is to solo as much of the game as possible. We will have a mercenary, obviously, because I consider that just a pet. But the majority of this is we're going to try to solo everything. We're going to be playing as a Shadow Knight. You can see here the group composition will be Nomeregard as the Shadow Knight doing all the things, and then a merc to help with all the things. The role matrix, obviously, I usually do these in all the videos when I multi-box, but one guy. So a Shadow Knight brings a lot to the table, right? Tanking, you probably put even right over here, healing, because of the sheer amount of healing that a Shadow Knight does. We're going to have the mercenary as a healer most of the time. Maybe swap that around depending on how it goes. We're going to have snare on the Shadow Knight, CC on the Shadow Knight via just off tanking. We have no Spirit of Wolf, but I believe Nomeregard has J-Boots or whatever they're called. So we'll see how that goes. Slow, we're gonna have to get a slow item to be able to slow mobs. The one thing I can think of is the Vaniki dagger claw. I don't even remember what it is. The claw of Vaniki or whatever. We might pick up one of those if we can. That'll at least allow us to slow a mob, but for the most part, I don't think we'll need it. Ports and evac, we have none of those. We have gate potions though, so that's nice. The mercenary will res us if we die to get us back our experience, and all our DPS will be probably from the Shadow Knight. Pretty basic stuff, right? The rules of this series. So this is going to be a solo series, but it's not going to be a self-found series. As if you look at Everquest as a 1 to 130 range, right? Because by the time I'm 125, 130 will be out in December, right? So if you look at it from 0 to 130, right? From about 1 to about 110, well, let's say 115, the game is 100% trivial in getting around and doing things. Raids are hard and stuff like that, but for the most part, you can solo your way to 110, 115 without much trouble. Once you hit 115, 110, whatever that break stop is for you, around the Torment of Velius expansion, for most people, the mobs start hitting, extremely hard. Everything becomes hard. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some challenges in this so that we can we will be like self-found, right? I'm not gonna go buy. This character is gonna start with nothing, right? He's gonna start with whatever's in the persona bags and all that stuff. There's no gear. He shouldn't have anything on him. And he's gonna have to find everything he does. But I'm going to allow, when we kill a raid boss, to buy another item, right? To purchase an item, or if I already have the item, right? Like I have all the raid two-handers for I think 105 to 125. So like I don't need to rebuy those. So I have those, so we can just be like, that's the item he's going to take. We're going to go with that, right? So we're going to do something like that. So it's not 100% self-found, but for the most part, he will be finding most of his own gear, except for the stuff we get from raids, which will allow us to push into that harder content, right? I get a lot of messages on my comments on the Shadow Knight video saying, you don't need a group, you can just solo everything, right? I got a guy sent me a video of him soloing all the Outer Brood all the Outer Brood group missions, right? So with that said, right, our goal is to be solo as much of the raids in the game as we can, and then solo as much of the group missions as we can, because there's going to be a point, I think it's about like 85, you know, to 90, maybe a 100 at this point, that you cannot solo the raids anymore. There's going to be there's going to be mechanics that the raids cannot be soloed no matter what, even at 160, you're not going to be able to solo it, right? So there's things like that that'll stop the raid progression, and then we'll transition into group progression and soloing those and stuff like that. Now, having done the majority of the Hobbs of Friends series already, where Hobbs, my Shadow Knight, has a group of 6, I can kind of see where the Shadow Knight could do most of the work. It just takes longer, right? So we'll see how that goes. But there's going to be no power leveling. There's going to be no grouping with anybody except the mercenary. We're going to be using EQRNG, which is a website I've made for picking the zones. So this is the back end. I haven't built the front end yet. So this allows me to randomly get a zone, right? So I can just hit random zone. I don't have the images in yet, but it gives me a zone. So like say, you know, this is our random. This is where we're going to go for an episode. This is going to be not for the level range. It's going to be for the episode. So like, you know, we say, you know, episode 1, we go there. Episode 2, we say we only got to 10. So we can change that to say 10 to 25, right? Do another one, right? Kern's Tower. So we'll go to Kern's Tower for a little bit. So these level ranges, they're still, like, I'm manually putting them in. They're subjective. They're based on me looking at Alakazam, me looking at P99 and stuff like that. So there's some subjective there. We might run into some problems, but for the most part, it's all into the system up to, I think, Gates of Discord. I think as far as I've gotten so far on getting a list of all the zones and putting them in there. So it's pretty cool. It's you can actually go to EQRNG.com. And there's no ads, I don't think, or anything. I haven't put anything on here. This is literally just a back end thing. I still have to build the front end and some other stuff, but just something I've been working on. So you can pretty much pick any level range, like say, you know, 40 here, right? This might be a zone. There's a zone that fits that range, right? And you can just kind of just hit the random as many times as you want. Right now I have it all in JSON files, pulling them all together so I can get them all edited easier than putting them in SQLite or something like that, because it is kind of tedious to do this. And so if we do like 30 and say 50, you know, boom, there's a zone, right? So we're gonna go with it, right? I typically go down what I call the happy path of zoning. It's literally the same zones over and over. This should alleviate that. You know, here's Guck, right? 25 to 50, it might show up, it might not. This is a random instance zone. I don't know if we can do those with one character. So, you know, if we do get one of these, we will try it. And these are Lost Dungeons and Orath. These are like instanced versions of the zones. We'll try them and see how they go. If we get one, you know, Tower of the Frozen Shadow. I've never done Tower of the Frozen Shadow normal, unless I had to go get something in there, which I don't remember having to do. So, you know, that'd be fun to do. Lower Guck, Dragon on the Teeth. So we'll spend at least an episode in there. Now, if we go from let's say the first random I pick is 1 to 5, and you know, we get over 5, you know, because I'm trying to get a starting zone, right? Like these are all starting zones. Right. If we hit that, you know, that end cap, we can't find anything to kill, we'll do a re-random in the video and go to there for a while. So I'm going to be using that every episode just to kind of dog food my own little tool. Anybody can use it. EQRNG.com, no ads or anything. Just, you know, select your range and hit random. If you find any issues, let me know on Discord and I'll see if I can get those fixed. I have a lot of features added. A lot of features planned that I want to add to it, so it is there. So we're gonna do challenge raids, like I said. So we'll come back to that because I have a whole chart down at the bottom. We'll do auto grant. I'm not gonna. I've done the whole manual AA for like, I think it was like 30,000 AA, and it was just too much to even deal with. So that is not something I'm going to do. Bags, personas. So this is a persona. This is my 125 necromancer, 125 mage, 117 wizard. Right? He's been around for years. So he's got bags. So we're gonna do it. External buffs are allowed because like I walk away from the game. I literally walk away from the game and I come back and I have buffs. Even if I'm not in the buff pile, like people walk by me, they see my character, they buff me. I'm not going to micromanage clicking off buffs or anything like that. So if we get buffs, we get buffs. If we don't, we don't. I don't really care. Don't need them. We'll have cleric buffs at all times from the mercenary, but that's about it. Crafting combines by myself. So any of my characters can do the crafting to make stuff, just to make things easier for me. I have to have the raw materials. So we're doing this on Nomeregard, who is my main crafter as it is. So he is already going to have pretty much all of the skill required to make just about any item in the game, except maybe shaman potions. He's a tinkerer. He's everything. So he can make everything. So we'll have, some of the better gear we can get at I think 75 or 85 plus. We will start doing Overseer. We can use that to get some trade skill materials and stuff like that for stuff we need to get the combines for. It is a gold account, auto grant enabled for Vi. It's the latest expansion. This character has the Outer Brood, and we want to have fun, right? Like my goal is to have fun. So here's kind of like an idea of an example how I plan on doing this, right? So let's just say episode 1, we only get 1 to 5, right? There's going to be no actual playing of the game in this. We're going to set up the character after this, but episode 1, this is episode 0, so episode 1 would have us, get a random zone. We go to that zone, we kill, we get, whatever level we get by the end of it, and then we randomize until we get to 50. At level 50, we're going to do our first raid challenge. Now, I don't know if we can pull it off at level 50, but we're going to try to kill Nagafin. If we can kill Nagafin, we will then go to Vox and Finnegal Ard Tropes. Now, each of these I've given a raid challenge. We can buy 1 item, right? So now I'm going to save these, I can save these. I don't know how I'm going to like show this in game. Maybe I'll buy like some kind of weird gemstone or something like that and use that as the item that we use or something like that. But for the most part, the concept is, we can save that token, at certain points, we can then use it to get some. So say we are, having a hard time trying to beat, Talendor in the 55, go get us a new weapon or something, something like that. I think it'll be fun. Kind of like how I was doing the Rogue series where every episode I'd buy an item. This you got to kind of, earn it, and it will help us, progress as we go through this. But we will be using random zones for everything. So I want to have a unique playthrough. No, I can't imagine that this random generator is going to give me, upper Guk and then lower Guk and then, done, right? Like I just can't imagine getting that. If we do, I might hit random again, just because that would be kind of just kind of weird. But it is 100% random based on what it does. The source code's on GitHub too, so if you want to take a look or send a pull request, it's there. But each of these different 5 raid levels. Now, for the most part, I don't think we're going to be able to kill a lot of stuff until we're at least 10 levels over the mob level, right? So I think Nagafin is level 60, so I don't think we're going to be able to get him at level 50. There might be some cheesery with the mercenary helping us out there, but for the most part, unless we get really lucky with getting full Defiant by level 50, I don't feel like we're going to be able to do it. So we'll push that to the next one. So any failed ones we can do in the next tier, and so on, just to make it fun. But this is like from 1 to 65 is kind of how it is. So at 65, I'd like to see how far we can get into Planes of Power progression. I don't think we're going to get very far, so we'll have to push that to level 70. probably even 75. As the higher we get, the harder the raids are going to get and stuff like that. So well, there might be stuff we can't do, and you know, that's fine. We'll figure it out as we go. But we'll try every single raid in the game. Is the goal on these raid challenges, and see where we end up. But that's that. Each zone is going to be randomized. You can see here, this is just my old list of hot zones, because I kind of used to, you know, recommend, you know, that's probably the best way to level is through hot zones and stuff like that. So that is something I do not have in the I don't have over here yet in the random generator denoting that it's a hot zone. I will definitely I'm gonna probably do some reworking, put tags in there so I can tag these zones with different data and stuff like that. So we'll get that in there probably in the next push. But for the most part, it does what I want. It gives me a random level, and every single zone up until Gates of Discord. Maybe Omens of War are in here right now. Maybe I was at Omens of War, and that's the one I haven't pushed yet. So they'll get in there, and there's, you know, I'll update the server as be. But currently, that's the plan. So gear progression wise, this is kind of like the group gear that you can kind of see through all the way to 115. I didn't bother updating it, but kind of the path of gear through the game. We will definitely look into some of this, because we're going to be min-maxing. Right? Like, we're going to be min-maxing as much as we possibly can to be able to, you know, do some of the raids, right? We're going to be min-max the character to do older raids is really what it boils down to. So, you know, when we get to 125, you know, we're going to be getting all the gear that we possibly can. And if anybody on FV wants to sell old raid gear, let me know. I'll buy from the auction house or whatever. But I'm looking to, you know, buy everything I can. But here we go. That is the series intro. We're gonna go ahead and make the character now. So here's Nomeregard. I spent 4 hours yesterday, maybe 5, clearing out his backs. He had so much junk in here. He's currently the 117 wizard from Hobbs and Friends. So we're going to go ahead and create a Shadow Knight persona. So let's go ahead and do that. So you can see the whole process to creating a persona. So it tells you to log out. So it saved our stuff. You can see there that he was a 125 mage and necromancer. So he's pretty set there. All right, so there we go. We are going to go with Gnome. Let's do the appearance here. Let's do no hair, facial hair, 1, 2. Accept. Can we turn him around here? There's one that has like a little top hair, and I don't like that one. So there, he's bald. All right, deity, we can only worship Toxilus, and we're going to start in Crescent Reach, just because that makes things easier, but that doesn't mean that's the zone we are going to start the game with. We're going to set up the UI and stuff first, and turn in his newbie note, so I don't carry that around. All right, I think that's everything. I like Gnome. It's pre-shrunk. It just feels better to me. And plus, they look good in the new models with armor. With plate armor and stuff, so I feel like that's, you know, a good look. I always play with the new models because the mounts look stupid with the old models, like you're like standing on it or something. It's just really weird. And Shadow Knight's get a free mount, so we'll be using that probably to get a little extra mana regen here and there, since it won't affect our bash or anything. Now, so here's a good point to mention something, right? So if you've watched anything on my channel, you know Nomeregard's been around for a while. Nomeregard has already pretty much completed the hero's journey, except for a few quests in here. Let's see here, complete. Don't show those. I don't think we can actually see them, actually. Never mind. There's a few quests in here that we can do to get some Paragon armor, but for the most part, we are not going to be able to do that. Paragon armor being some of the best quest gear you can get early on. All right, so I'm going to copy Hobbs's layout, the Shadow Knight version of Hobbs. Let's go ahead and grab that. and that'll be the same UI that I use on Hobbs, because I kind of like this layout. It's pretty good to me. I mean, it's a little overcomplicated right now, but well, I'll clear all this stuff out here over time. All right, so we need to, first thing is get rid of all this gear that's on us. We can't, I don't know why it doesn't strip you naked when you make the persona, but it's kind of weird, but there we go. We'll just take it all off. We have the UI set up. We have all that. Let's go to, we didn't get a newbie node, did we? Oh, it's in our item overflow. Never mind. All right, let's deal with that here in a second. All right. Let's get all this junk off. Is this even usable at this level? Recommended level 5. We can leave that in there at the ammo slot. I don't think we're gonna have a bow. Eventually this this tier becomes one of the better items to have, so it's pretty nice. All right, there we go. We are now a Shadow Knight. We have no gear. We have no weapon. We have nothing. So if we do item overflow, I don't think it shows up yet, so let's relog. All right, we're back in, so we can do item overflow. There we go. So there's a bunch of junk that we get there. All right, so gave us some backpacks. We don't need those. Destroy. We'll take the sword. Destroy. Gave us some free food and water, so we'll just put that right there. I'm not using any stat food at the moment, so we don't need bandages, and we don't need the lantern. We can put the lantern on. Why not? It's a light source. All right. And you can see we are super slow. Let me see here. If I go to keyrings, now anything in my keyrings is usable except for the mounts. I'm going to hold off on the mounts for now because these are crazy overpowered, and we're going to hold off on that. So we can use any of the illusions and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm not going to click Jane's Val because that one's overpowered too. We'll hold off on that one. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. We're not going to do any of the pets because those are overpowered too. Everything's overpowered. What I'm looking for, we can use the teleport items. Those are fine. Oh, yeah, there we go. Journeyman boots. That's what I was looking for. Let's put these somewhere down here just so we can move a little bit faster. It's like at a 2-minute duration at level 1, so it's not too bad, or it's not too good. I don't think we can use any of this other stuff, so that's just so we can move around a little bit faster. But for the most part, I'm going to try to hold off on using that other stuff, because if I do Jane's Val right, we get an instant 50-point damage shield, and the whole series is trivial. If I do the mounts, I get like 10,000 hit points. It makes everything trivial. All right, so let's see here. Who are we giving this to? We're giving this to Black Talon Teak, or Teal. There we go. There he is. Trade that. I don't like that over there. That there. There we go. Should give us a newbie shirt. Put that on. He's a trainer. I don't need anything from him. He's got tomes. All right, he is selling tomes we can't even do anything with. Is there Shadow Knight spells? I never really spend any time in this area. There we go, Shadow Knight spells. So sort by level. Let's say, I mean, we're gonna go to Plane of Knowledge here in a second. Spike of Disease. Spike of Disease is probably the only one we really need. All right, and we didn't even get Spike of Disease. What? Did it lag or something? There it is. There we go. All right, we get our first spell, and we'll put that right there. Oh my god, that is so slow. There we go. That should be good for now. We'll just leave that one over there. All right, let's clear up this stuff here. And Hardcore Heritage is going on also at right now. So if we get any of these zones, we will have to we'll have to skip those ones because it's going to go on for a few more days. All right, let's get out of here. Let's go to plain knowledge. Let's just use the Stein. Save myself a little walking here. And for the most part, we should be ready to go go ahead and cut this one. I don't think there's much else. Like, there's some UI cleanup I'm gonna have to do, but for the most part, I can do that on my own because it's really just deleting buttons. But we're gonna be good. And then at the beginning of next episode, we'll random the first whatever we get, right? First zone. We're gonna bind down here though, just because I don't like being bound in Crescent Reach. I think we're bound. There we go. We're bound. Perfect. All right. And so there we go. That is the intro to this. We can't do the tutorial from what I understand. I've already completed it with the other characters anyway. So actually, what we can do, since we're in plane of knowledge, let's go over here and grab a mercenary. We're going to grab the healer mercenary. I think we'll be fine. Actually, how does it work with personas? I don't know. We don't need to do that. We already got one. I don't know why we have three healer mercenaries. That's kind of funny. And an Aviac healer. What? All right. Never mind. We don't have to do that. The personas already did it. So, all right. So next episode, we will do a random zone, and that'll be where we go. Plane of knowledge is going to be our base of operations. Maybe the guild hall for teleports and stuff there. It just depends on how I'm feeling that day. But for the most part, and then one thing to note: when we get to the point where we can get the random the hot zone quests, we will grab the quest. But if we do not get the random zone, we will not go there and do it. So that'll be a thing, and I might put like some weight on the hot zones and stuff like that. Just depends on maybe I'll have a mode for that so we can maybe get a higher chance to get them, because you know it's going to be pretty random on some of these zones. I've removed all the city zones from the randomization that are, you know, like Grob and Oglok. Like those aren't zones we're going to go kill in. Those are all set as level 0 and stuff like that. So there we go. That is the intro. That's the new series, Nomeregard's Journey, the Trials of Nomeregard. I'm just going to say Nomeregard's Journey at the beginning of every video. But if you have any questions or comments or suggestions, let me know. But I do plan on making the first episode immediately after this, so there will be a delay. But this should all be coming out very soon. So thank you very much for watching, and please have a fantastic day.